Hello everyone and welcome to episode 27 of the Game Dev Tutorials. Today we're going to do a Patreon's request and start to work on the level a little bit. We'll do one of many steps of that, which is to add the grid items. Grid items are things that fit to the grid. We are going to do a simple one-to-one version of that today, which is the very simplest way. Then there's a static one-to-many, so like you could do one item that takes up multiple grid locations, but they're a static pattern. And then a much more complicated way would be to feed it some type of box or circle or area of some sort, and then fill in the grid according to where you placed that item. So that would be kind of the more advanced way of doing things, and when you're making arbitrary grids, that's going to be very helpful. But today we're going to start in the simplest form. We have a little bit of cleanup to do. I didn't error check something and I need to do that. We are then going to add grid items to the XML for the level. I told you we'd be adding stuff to the XML over time, and we definitely will be. Those level XML files are going to contain all kinds of information by the time we're done. Then we're going to pass that data on through to the grid. We're going to add the grid item pipeline, and then we're going to load the data from XML. And after all that's done, we should have mobs that path around whatever we put on, in locations. Okay. Jumping right in. First things first, let's go down and open our level file. Whoops, misclick. And then just down at the bottom, we will say grid items. You could also just say grid because there might be other things we load later, but for right now, I'm going to leave it at grid items, and then we'll say grid item. And then what we want to do in grid item is we want to put out a location, not a position. So this is a grid location because it's a grid item. And then right now we will fill in type, but we're not going to worry about type too much today. But we're going to say type hill, and then loc, not pose, x, whoops, boy, that was bad. And then y. Typing, huh? Alright, and then so what we're going to do right now is we're just going to create kind of a little arc with a few little demonstration hills. You guys can fill in whatever pattern you want. This is just to show you guys how to do it. I do expect that you guys think through what we're doing in these tutorials and then kind of expand on them for yourselves. So we are going to come down to 9, 9. And we're going to place a hill there. I'm going to grab this. We'll paste this off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But fine, that's probably fine. We're going to go up 1 and to the right 1. So up on Y is negative, and up on and to the right is positive. So we'll go there. Okay? And then from there, we're going to go directly above that. So it'll form kind of a little arc when we're done with these 5 locations. So up again is -1. Whoops. Boy. Not having good luck with that. Okay, so -1, and then since it's directly above, the x stays the same. Okay? Now, from here, we're going to go down and to the left. So down is a greater x, and left is lesser y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually pasted one too many, so let's get rid of that. And then here we're going to go directly to the left. So that's going to be 7, 10. And so what you're going to have is, okay. Just doing that. I hate when that happens. Okay, so what you're going to have, or what we're looking for, is 1, 2, 3 in a diagonal, and then 1 there, 1 there. That's what we're looking for. Kind of that circle. It's an easy thing for us to test to make sure things are going around it. So pretty simple there. We have this here. Yay, awesome. let's jump into our grid, which our grid is up in our engine area. Then I got a question about making a GUI class, a GUI library. The engine is a library. I just haven't gone into how to convert it to its own library solution or project. But that's the way I'm treating it, is as if it's its own library. And then we already have buttons and stuff, so we already kind of have started a GUI library. Now, there will be more things that get added to it, but almost everything can be done with just buttons. You might have to be more creative how to do it, but and another kind of thing is that doing the different UI components is actually really good practice. They typically are relatively simple, but just sometimes with a lot of programming involved. So they're just a lot of simple things after simple things after simple things. And coming up with how to create those is actually really good practice. So I encourage you to try to do that even before I get to them. Okay, so in here we're going to add a new item. It's just a grid item. And this is more of a placeholder than anything else, because eventually we'll like override this and stuff and do things of that nature. But we're not going to worry about that today. Public. And then this just is going to inherit from animated 2D. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a sniffles today. Okay, and then we're going to have public grid item. And obviously base, because that's important. And then we're going to pass in the path. So string path, and then vector2 the position, and vector2 dems, and then vector2 frames, and then over here it's going to say path, pose, dems, frames, and then color dot white, because we're not going to worry about coloring things right now. Okay, so we have this. It doesn't really do anything. Like I said, it's more of a placeholder than anything else, but we want it for later, because you could have very different things. Like you could have the thing animated, and if it's animated, it's probably going to have its own, animation set up, and so you're going to want your own class for each thing, and yada 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 yada. And then there's other things, like you could be placing something you can walk across, because maybe like you place some swamp and the swamp just slows things down, but then you could have hills that they can't pass, or you could have some ground that they go quicker on, so on and so forth. So you can do all kinds of things with grid items. So having their own class is nice. This is a placeholder for now. And it's a placeholder so that we can come in here and say public list grid item. Grid items, it's new, list, grid item. Okay, so we have our list there. Okay, and then we will need to draw these. There's currently no point in updating them, so we're not going to worry about that today. But if you add animations, just add this to your update function. It's not a big deal. I less than grid items. Plus, and then we have grid items I draw offset. Now notice where I placed this, right? This is outside of show grid. So even if the grid's not showing, we're still showing these items on the grid. And this is going to be how we show them until we create our own draw manager that kind of sorts things and puts them in the correct position. Okay. That's the draw. Cool. We are going to need to start taking in the data from our XML, so let's set that up real fast. So X element data. We're going to need the load data class. Let's collapse our A star because we don't need to see that right now. L goes here, so public virtual void load data. And then I'm just going to take in X element data, and we'll do the standard check just to make sure the data is not null real fast. And we'll come back to this in a minute. Okay, so we've set that little pipeline in. We're going to need to go into world. There we go. And then that goes down to load data. Cool. And then, so we're going to have X element. Oh, we don't need that. We can just do this. Okay, we'll just say, oh, we need our grid information, right? So we need this. Cut it. Paste it. But right here, we are going to pass in grid items, ITMS. Okay, so that passes that in. And it could be null, but that's okay. We tested for it, no big deal. So that's that. You know what? I forgot to fix the mess up that I did earlier. Let's see. It's in Hero. And if we come down here where you right click, you need to put an if current skill not equal null. And you can put it in this if you wanted to. This is just a little easier to read on this because they don't have really anything to do with each other. But if you want, you can put this in this if. You don't need two different ifs. Because before, if you right click and you weren't holding a skill, it would crash. So, yay, fixed that. My mistake. Sorry, guys. But that's a quick fix. It'll fix that issue. We're passing this in to our square grid. And then in here, we are going to need to pull that data out. So the first thing we want to do is get a hold of the data, right? And so we're going to need our quick loop to pull that out with link. And we have that in player, I believe. So in player, let's come down here. We are going to need this here. So copy that. Square grid. Paste it here. We'll edit it in a minute. And then we are also going to need our conversion code for vectors. So we'll take that. We'll come over here. Put it in comments for now, but we want to have it at the ready. So here we are going to get all the descendants that are named grid item. Not grid items, just grid item. And then we're going to need grid to rename that grid items. And then for int I equals 0, I less than grid items list dot count I plus plus. And then we need a function to do this. We don't need it. We are going to make a function to do this because we want to be able to add grid items from anywhere, and we want to be able to do it right. And it's a multi-line process, and we want to do that well. And you'll see as you get better and better at this process, when you have multi-line things that you think will be called more than once, you always want to put them in a function. Or at least in my opinion, you always want to put them in a function. I actually, speaking of which, will probably be doing a video going over some of the retarded things I did with my first game. Because I have been going through it and messing with it and trying to port it over. It's there's some pretty gnarly bad stuff in there, and it all works, but it was not very editable, and so I want to kind of show a few of those rookie mistakes, for lack of a better term. And like I said, it was my first completed game, and so it's probably my worst piece of code in a game. So it's nice to see that, and to, well, I mean, it's not nice for me to see it, but it's nice for other people to see it. So I'll probably go through that. So add grid item, and what do we need to bring in here? So we need to take in the image path for now. We won't need that later, but we will anyway for right now. And then the location, so vector2 loc. And that's all we need. And so in here, we are going to say, so get grid slot from location, loc, filled equals true. Right? Or we can do set filled. Right? That's fine. Okay? That's fine. Okay? And then we need to add the actual image. So that's actually filling the grid, and then this is adding the image. So let's do that. So GridItems, no, not GridItems. GridItems dot add, and then new GridItem. And then here we have our path. Here we don't have a position, so we'll get to that in a second. The size of the item for, I mean, and you can change this, but this is just kind of a good starting point, is the slot dems dot x and slot dems dot y. And then frames, we know that it's just 1, 1. We won't have to worry about that once we have child classes of GridItem, because they'll tell us the frames, they'll tell us the path. Really all we'll need eventually is this here. This and this, which we haven't filled yet. And this one is get pose from loc, and then we're going to add slot dems over 2. Right, because that's going to give us the top left here. Whoops. It's loc. This is going to give us the top left corner of the location, so we want to get the middle of it. Cool. So that adds an item. So now let's come down in here. And we're going to say, let's see, add grid item. And then this. You know what I haven't done? I haven't added the piece of art. Of course I haven't. Whoops. Here we go. In 2D, we're just going to say grid. We're going to add the hill. I don't have this pulled up. Oh, here it is. It's on my desktop anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just a quick little brown hill, like no big deal. A little bit of shading, but that's about it. I will provide this, obviously, as I always do. But yeah, so 2D, grid, hill. Did I do the copy of newer? I did not. Could have had a little bug there. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll get the location from the XML, which is why we needed this bad boy right here. So take that, put that in, get that. We don't need it from data. We need it from this, and then the same thing over here. And on top of that, it's not pose, it's loc. So that should do the trick there. Yeah. Let's build it, see what we got. Alright, here it is. Play. Not showing. Is it walking around what should be there? Because it should be like right in here somewhere. I did get a little confused, so that's interesting. Okay, why are we not drawing? That's a good question. It's going to be down here, and here, and it's doesn't have any. Odd. Very odd. Unless it never made it through here because we messed something up. Data, descendants, grid item, that all seems correct. That's correct. Let's just load this and see what we're getting here. I assume it's a 0, so we'll come over here, we'll hit play. Nothing went there. Interesting. Oh, I know what happened. We never called this. Little boneheaded mistake. Never called the function in the first place. Now we're getting in there, and we have 5 of them. Okay. Cool. See what we get. We get brokenness. Unspelled grid right. Okay. One more try. One more try. We'll get it. We'll get it. Alright, there's our little path. And look, he walked around it. Good. Got a little bit confused on where it's going, but now we should watch them walk around it. And we just did. That's good. And he walked around it. We'll move a little closer over here to walk around that way. Okay. That is our tutorial on adding grid items. So, if you liked the tutorial, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. I'm trying to keep posting 2 a week. I don't always get it done, but I try. Share this with your friends. Let people know. You know, do that kind of thing. If you guys are learning a lot from this and you want to help out, you know, please visit Patreon. I listen to all of you guys and I respond to all of your comments regardless of whether you're a Patreon or not. But if you are a Patreon and you ask for something, like with this video, I am going to do my best to speed up the process of getting to that item. I may not be able to get to it right away, but I will try to speed it up. So this I was not planning on doing quite yet, but it was requested, so I am kind of stepping this up in my list. So that's kind of an idea of the kinds of things that I'd like to do for Patreons, and I'm really really thankful for the 2 patrons I have. Yeah, I know it's only 2, but it is awesome. It really does make me feel good about what I'm doing, and it really will help because I will have the ability to have art made for the channel. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I will see you guys next time.